Hey everybody, C-Note here. I am the host of Dopamine, a podcast about mental health, creativity, and personality typology. I also specifically help INTPs here on this YouTube channel to connect to themselves and the universe through personality typology. So today I want to give some of my own personal advice about how to grow as an INTP, because this is stuff that I've been learning for myself. And the big topic for today is, why are INTPs so unmotivated? And I'm not saying that they are generally unmotivated. I'm saying that this is a common question that I see. Why are INTPs so unmotivated? And it's actually a response that is not exclusive to INTPs. INTPs have an issue with motivation because we just want to do what we want to do. And usually when we're talking about motivation, we're talking about motivation in relation to things that the world expects of us. So sometimes it's motivation to get up and get a job, or go and do what we got to do and take care of responsibilities, or go and start a family, or go dating, or go do important things that we feel like we need to do, or having a big picture of what it is that we want to do and not really understanding the steps of how to get there. So when we're talking about being unmotivated, it's not unique to INTPs, but INTPs certainly suffer from some unmotivated feelings, because a lot of the times we feel like we know what we want, and we just kind of operate when we want to operate. I know that I just do what I want to do when I want to do it. And it's really about tricking yourself into wanting to do more things and more times. But in general, the concept of motivation is a little bit of a myth, or at least it's misunderstood. And this is where sort of the reframe here kind of comes from, is that understanding that motivation is not what we think it is. Motivation is not some external force that is going to make us do something. Motivation is not something that is going to show up and knock on our door and say, "Hey, come on in, motivation." And then motivation's like, "Hey, let's cuddle." And that's not how that works. Motivation comes from the process of doing. And INTPs can get kind of caught up in the process of starting a lot of projects, but we certainly don't finish them, because we don't do the project enough to get motivated to get past the hurdle. There's definitely a dip that happens at the start of a project where you have to do some of the heavy work to see if this is a viable long-term thing. So something that you're doing, something that you love, and just seeing if it connects, see if it starts to click with people, or starts to, connect with part of your vision and part of your goals. So the motivation piece of it is not the spark. We conflate motivation with the spark. The spark is the idea. The spark is the thing that you want to do. The spark is just writing down the topic and then getting started on it. It's not just research, but it's like actively starting the project, whether it's like building a website or creating a video, starting a YouTube channel, starting a podcast, whatever you want to do. It's about getting the idea created and started. And then once you start, the motivation comes from the creation of the thing. So it's about the process. It's about getting the rocket fuel underneath you in the midst of the process and letting other ideas come from the creativity of the process. Now, if we're getting caught up in the mundanity of having to do something that involves a lot of repetitive work, then that can really mess with our motivation. That can really mess with the feeling of wanting to continue to go forward in a way that is fun and exciting, because ultimately we want to do things that are interesting, fun, and exciting. So if we're going to get to those grinding points, and the difference between being motivated and unmotivated is not let yourself get caught up in the feeling of "I don't feel like it" or "I don't want to," right? If you don't want to, then stop. Go do something else. Then it's proving to you that it's just not a concept that you really want to take on, and just accept that and finish it, put it away, discard it, get rid of it. You're done with it. But for you to discard it too early is also not helpful to you. So you have to do some of the grind. You have to do a little bit of the extra work to see if it's viable. Test it against the outside world. You're not just theorizing. When you're doing things, you're not just theorizing, right? For me, this is not theory. This is me putting it on the internet, and I get feedback. That's what you have to do in order to create and become motivated as an INTP. The motivation for me right now to keep doing these videos is the fact that you guys are commenting in the comments and leaving love and watching these videos and sharing it. So I'm getting a little bit of external motivation, but I'm also being inspired by the questions that I see. I'm being inspired by the ideas that I have. And I'm being inspired by the fact that I love creating. I love this process. I love talking to the camera. I love sharing my thoughts and connecting with you guys and being able to feel like there's some growth happening. And also I have to do it to kind of build my business because I am a coach and I want to help people, right? So the motivation for me comes in the act of doing. There isn't a motivation that's going to say, you should really try this thing and you need to do this thing. That's an external pressure that we're not going to respond to. That internal spark is really where it gets going for an INTP. The spark, start creating, start looking into research or what your motivations are, not motivations, but your inspirations and all of the things that have led to your story, and let that fuel the process. Start making, start creating, and get creative. If you're kind of not feeling that motivation in the midst of the creative process, then tweak something, change something, turn it on its head, change the location, change the topic, change the thought process, change something, make it interesting. Because that's often when we stop, is when we find like, okay, this is boring, this isn't what I thought it was. When really it's you. It's you are not making the tweak. You're not turning it around. You're not turning it sideways. You're not really exploring all of the ways that you could explore this. So, and I don't mean that insultingly. I mean like scrutinize yourself. It's okay to look at things and say like, okay, am I really squeezing the lemon for what it is, right? So that's really where the motivation lies, is being comfortable with the idea of pushing yourself a little further, with continuing to process to get in love with the process and really love doing what you want to do. So that's really where it's at. That's where the motivation lies. So I hope that made some sort of sense. If you want some sort of clarity, please feel free to, leave some comments below and hit the Cosmic Calibration course at bit.ly/CosmicINTP, which is a bunch of audio segments of me sharing and talking about my personal story and all of the lessons that I've learned to become a better creator and to connect with people and to basically be the happiest I've ever been in my life. So I also do one-on-one coaching, so if you need peer-to-peer to support, or if you want to connect, hit me up at Let's Go C Note, just send me a message and we can set up a coaching session and we can do all of that stuff. So with that, yeah, I think that's everything. So if you're feeling a little unmotivated, really you just got to start. Don't feel like you need to be absolutely encapsulated and wowed and in love with having to create. Just create, and the motivation to keep going is what will fuel you to keep going. Yeah, okay. I'm getting tired. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. I've been C Note. Go check out the podcast, and I'll catch you next time on Dopamine. See ya.